Hello and welcome to Line of Duty. I'm Joe Johnson, and joining me here today is Lieutenant Dan Toth from the Oakland County Sheriff's Office. Thanks for joining me here today.
My pleasure, Joe.
All right. Well, we have a topic in mind today, but before we get to that, we have some good news we want to share with everybody. I just recently read on social media, it's been all over social media, that Orion Township has been recognized nationally. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, it was a pleasant surprise. Safewise, it's a company that is associated with school districts and businesses and real estate, and they look at the data from the FBI, and our most recent data rated us in the top 100 safest communities in the nation. This year for 2019, it was based on 2017 data.
Oh wow!
So we knew we've been saying for years that we can count on our fingers how many crimes against people we have in Orion Township. With a population of nearing 40,000, so when they strictly looked at the FBI data. So it's a nice, it's a good recognition. Obviously, we're not crime lists, but we do an excellent job. And like, Supervisor Chris Barnett and Sheriff Mike Bouchard, who made comments for some of the articles, it's like they pointed out, it's a collective effort. So when I say we, it's a combination of the police, public safety, but most importantly, our citizens, our residents, how they interact. They are eyes and ears. You see something, say something, and they just do an outstanding job. Everyone in the community pitches in for that recognition. So that's the great thing.
Your department shares like a crime log with the Lake Orion Review. I see it posted on Facebook occasionally. Some of it's kind of humorous, but in response to what you just said, sometimes when I read about certain crimes here in the community, I'm surprised. Like my reaction is, here in Orion Township? So that is a good problem to have, that when you do read about crime in this area, it's surprising because for the most part, this community has been peaceful and safe.
Yes, it has. And I think you're talking about the difference possibly between, misdemeanors, civil infractions, and felonies. So we have very few felony crimes in Orion, but we do have some of the same issues that communities across the country have. We still have issues with substance abuse and property crimes, and of course electronic type crimes, scams, and things like that. That's those things are there. A few of those things are actually on the rise.
Mm-hmm. That's a great segue, because that leads us to today's topic. Recently, I had something happen to me that I experienced, and I wanted to share that with the community, and maybe you've been victim of the same thing. So I check my bank account on my phone using my app almost on a daily basis, see what's there. And I noticed a transaction on my bank card for about $3. Now, most people might just look right past that, but the charge came from Redbox, the DVD rental kiosk. And I've never used Redbox in my entire life, so that was a flag to me. Contacted my bank immediately and said, I did not do this. Well, the first step, they said, well, we have to close your current card because somebody obviously got access to it. We're going to issue you a new card. And so it was inconvenient, but I said, all right, let's do that. So I shredded my card. They issued me a new one in the mail. It took about a week to get it. A couple of weeks later, I noticed another charge from Redbox for almost $80. What had happened was the person who fraudulently used my bank card number to rent a disc, I found out later that it was a video game. Well, they never returned it. They kept it. So now Redbox was coming after me for the cost of the replacement disc, which was almost $80. After contacting my bank again, they said, you reported it in the first place. You're not going to be obligated to pay this fee, and everything got taken care of. So it was kind of scary to think that somebody had access to my bank information. Luckily, there are things in place that alert you, and there's steps that you can take to take care of this problem. So I have some questions for you. First of all, how do you think, or what are some of the ways somebody can get access to my bank card? Now, I have one bank card. It's on my person at all times. It's in my wallet. I'm the only one who uses it. I'm single. I don't have family. What are some ways that somebody was able to get that information?
Well, there's the sky's the limit when it comes to our credit cards. So much is done online these days, and the information is out there. I think everyone would be surprised if they simply Google their names and they could see a lot of the information that society puts out there that they collect on you. For instance, we have tracking devices on our phones. There's a lot of information that's used by consumer groups and retailers and things like that. But when it comes to credit cards, oftentimes what we see, the information is coming out of possibly doctors' offices and all different types of databases where there are some nefarious employees that are working and sharing this information. Okay, at times there are skimmers, what they call skimmers in the side of
Gas pumps?
Gas pumps, right, or even at your ready tellers, if you use the ready teller machine. So you have to be cautious about, be aware of your surroundings. But by and large, we see that a lot of the information comes from your own home, possibly people that are around you that are able to get access to some of your records and people that you know. So I think that going back to what we talked about, what we see here in Orion Township, like some of the property crimes, the bad guys and bad girls, they look for easy targets, okay? And much of the time they're crimes of opportunity, like locking your vehicles in your driveway. Those are some of the things that, that we report on weekly, and we work with our homeowners groups and community groups to put the word out there as a reminder, simply lock your vehicle, put your electronic devices or, anything with value out of sight, out of mind, keep it out of your vehicles as much as you can. With that said, we have, you're still vulnerable, okay, from a lot of different aspects, but there really are a lot of simple things that you can do to protect, your information. And I think it really starts with a mindset, because we often, we teach our children, don't talk to strangers, and because it's something we can see. And with our handheld devices, we can't really see who's on the other end of it, so we become lackadaisical, when we're opening up emails or answering text messages, okay? Yeah. I just had one yesterday, a report come in, one of our local organizations that received, an email, and it looked authentic, very authentic, and the email asked them to go purchase some cards, money cards.
Oh, okay.
And then scratch off the codes and send the codes back to this person they were portraying.
Yeah.
But in fact, it came back to a Gmail address, but they can spoof a lot of those addresses. So you really don't know, and you really have to be cautious, just like we've always taught our children. So if you could see some of these people, You know, you would never answer your door at 1 o'clock in the morning if it was dark out, right?
Right.
But people will answer, open up, click on an email, they're open up an email or something like that, and they're making it very easy for folks to scam them.
Yeah.
You
When
know?
when I shared my story with some friends, one person said, "Well, you know what they can do now is you could be at out shopping at the mall or something, and someone can walk right past you with some device that'll get your information off your card." And I see wallets. You can buy wallets now that say they have this thing sewn into them to protect your card. How common is that? How easy is it for someone to walk right past you and get your number out of your wallet?
It's much more difficult to do, but it is being done, and you can simply. Actually, the sheriff's office, we were giving away some of the concealment cases that you can put your card in, and it will protect that data. Now with the chips that are in the card, so technology is always advancing, but the bad guys are always, it's like a mousetrap. They're always able to find the next weak spot in the system. And so it has improved the chips in credit cards. Okay, that has decreased some of the fraud. But I have the same story as you. Okay, my credit card. So one of the biggest things, and I actually have a presentation that I did next door at the community center with another group here just a few weeks ago that I brought. But another, let me back up. So I have alerts on my phone, probably like you do, or on my credit card, I should say. And so this was a weekend for me. I believe it was a Saturday or a Sunday. And actually, that's a day that most often happens because it's called they're phishing. Okay, so what they're doing. So in my case, I was alerted to a $1.50 transaction at a video arcade in Brooklyn, New York, and right away it popped up on my phone, and I said, "This is bad news." You know? So
Even that small amount is enough to.
So that's what they're doing. They're probing, and they do it on especially on the weekends because they know we're maybe more active and less apt to look at those emails that come in. So I immediately called the my credit card company, and they immediately froze the account, shipped out new cards like your case. But to this day, I have no idea how they're able to obtain or that information from my credit card. It was the first and the only time. So it's just unknown, but that's typically what will happen. So that's why it's very important. If you don't have a smartphone, okay, that is immediately. So in my case, I put alerts on my account, so they automatically. So when I walk out of a restaurant or after using my phone, within typically it's 20-25 minutes, I will get an alert that my card has been used. Yeah. And so they're probing with small transactions to see if it will be noticed. Yeah. And so it's very similar.
You know, a service that my bank offers, now some people might consider this an invasion of privacy or something. I personally don't have a problem with it. My bank, through the app that I have on my phone, has a feature where it knows my location, and if a transaction takes place away from my location, I'll get an immediate notification. Now, I like that sort of stuff, but there might be people out there who don't want the bank to know where you are every moment of every day, but I think it's a great way to stay safe.
And I have the same type of alerts on my phone too. When I'm so you can simply call ahead if you go out of country, and let them know that you are traveling, and they'll make notes in it. So the technology is catching up, but by and large, I think the successful scams, and you were compensated when you use a credit card, okay, the credit card, you are compensated for that. You're not held liable for those, which could be different from a debit.
Yeah.
So that's why we caution folks when it comes to credit card versus debit cards, be very careful, and you want to check with your financial institution to make sure that they will treat them the same, because there are times that that you can link your debit card to a savings account, and we do not recommend that at all.
Right. Yeah, that's a big target to go after.
So if you use a credit, if you choose credit, you are covered through those institutions, but not so much with debit.
Another bit of advice that somebody gave me once I experienced this is they said, if you plan on traveling or maybe going somewhere where you're not familiar with the surroundings, get it like a prepaid Visa card or something. That way you have a limit on it, and you could swipe that, and that's the only amount that's vulnerable is the amount that's on that prepaid Visa card.
But you'll have to keep good track of it.
Exactly.
Right. So that's. But I think by and large, what we see, the successful scams that we see here in Orion, and I'm basing nearly all of this on firsthand police reports. Okay, the ones that have been successful, they were. Folks have allowed themselves to become vulnerable. Okay, in other words, they believe someone at the other end of an email. Okay, or it could be door to door too. So, and this is the season right now too. So this is spring. We were just talking about the weather's changing, and this is the time of year that we have more solicitors that are going door to door. In Orion Township, we do have an ordinance that requires solicitors that are soliciting for goods or services to register, okay, and show their ID, and then they get a permit, and they can go out in the community, and we know who they are, okay. There's some vetting, so we understand who they are. But with that also comes some of the, those bad girls and bad boys that are out there to scam. And some of the scams that we've seen in the past have been door-to-door sales for magazines. They could be claiming to recoat your driveway or do some repairs, gutters or roofs or whatever it may be. And I think you want to be very cautious with door-to-door solicitors, or solicitors possibly that are at the street corner or the neighborhood grocery store that are face-to-face. You want to be very cautious about that too. We recommend that residents rely more on some of our brick and mortar businesses that have a background, they're established in the community, because everybody has a story. So when you see door-to-door solicitors, they have out-of-state license plates, or you don't see a vehicle because they're parked down the street. Those are some of the red flags, and you want to be very, very cautious, okay? So phone soliciting is another big one. We are all getting inundated with phone calls from solicitors, and now they can use different phone numbers, so it actually looks like it's a local phone call, okay, and it truly isn't. So I think a lot of us understand now that be very cautious doing any business over the phones like that. But we are still getting reports of different organizations, whether it be the gas company, electric company, calling with these type of scams. Some of the scams have targeted some of our seniors, and what they'll do is they will get a young voice that could sound like a grandson or a granddaughter, and they want that person to go purchase some Western Union money cards, and send money cards or give them the codes off the back. So some of the scams that we've seen where there's been a loss have been to purchase Green Dot cards, Western Union. We've seen Apple cards. You name it, any type of money cards.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go through some of these slides real quick, but we actually talked about a lot of these. Putting the alerts on all your bank accounts is real critical.
Yeah.
And this is an important aspect of this. If you're not comfortable with the electronics, okay, I know that you can come here to our community center, and we have township residents or even the police. If you come on up, we will show you how you can set up some of your alerts, okay? Or there's a lot of different groups that will help with that if you're not comfortable with the electronics. And I think sometimes people are not, okay? Think of your identification and all your accounts, whether your email accounts, treat them like cash, okay? If you can treat your information like cash, you don't leave it lying out, okay? Open up your mail. When you get mail that comes to your house, sort through what's junk mail, but actually look at your billing statements. You want to see, are there any other surgeries or office visits that you're not aware of, just like you did with your bank account. So you want to keep tabs on all your personal information like that. Yeah. And a lot of it is done through the mail.
Anything that I receive in the mail that has any sort of banking information on it, whether it's receipts or whatever, I have a little shredder, and I run everything through the shredder. Do you recommend not taking bank statements and throwing them in the garbage?
Yes, you can actually get you can purchase a cross-cut shredder for $30. Yeah. And not with the police, with government, it's not only it's required by law that we shred and cross-cut shred, protected information. And there are documents that you want to shred. Okay. I did bring a couple examples here. I'm going to, this is one of the, here's one for eBay. If folks at home, we will often receive emails, and they look very much like an authentic email. Here's one from eBay, okay? But you'll look at the very top line, see where it says, Dear eBay member?
Yeah.
All right? That's a red flag, all right? Number one, if you're not expecting an email from eBay, this is your first red flag. It doesn't have your name on it.
Right.
These are all called phishing emails. So that last email from eBay, that was a phishing email. That was to get people to open that up,
right,
and it would infect their computers. Here's another shopping email. These are all phishing emails, but they look here's one from Verizon that was one of our reports. If you look at that, it looks very authentic, okay? And it wants you to do something, okay? It wants you to open up your account documentation, but the very top line, you'll see, what does it say? Dear client.
Yeah.
It's not your name. It doesn't have the last few numbers of your account. And number one, Verizon will not be sending you any information by email or a phone call. You will get your documents through the mail,
right,
and you'll get other. So these are just some of the examples that I took off some of our police reports. This was one that was out in the media a couple years ago. This was Netflix. Okay, they wanted you to open up your account details, but they wanted you to type in this
your
type of
information.
Right. Yeah. They're so these are what we call soliciting emails. These are no different than somebody calling, saying they're from this organization in Southeast Michigan, but actually the call came from Nigeria.
Yeah.
And we've all heard of the Nigerian scams.
Yeah, yeah.
These are the same thing,
Yeah.
They're phishing type emails. Here's one from FedEx. Okay, they look very authentic. They may put some shipping numbers on there, but if you look at from where it's from, oftentimes you can put your cursor over the from and the actual email, the correct email, so you can see it's not the official FedEx site.
Yeah.
So here's the key.
Justpost.com.
Right. Here's one for Amazon. Dear client. Okay. But look at the email address, the return email. That's not. So here's the key. Here's one for the IRS.
Oh, that's a big one. Yeah.
Right. And this is the season one. We're in tax season right now.
Sure.
I have no doubt we're probably going to get a couple reports here in the next couple of weeks. Yep. So the IRS will never call you or send you an email for you to do anything. So the key is do nothing with these. Okay, ignore them.
Yeah.
All right. But you'd be surprised that we're so used to clicking and opening up emails out of curiosity, and that's what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
So you can see some of these are. You can look at the. Once again, that's not the official IRS website. So the key message here is, here's one from Visa. This was used in a scam. Dear Visa customer, it's a generic email. So they sent out hundreds of thousands of these, and they're hoping that someone is going to get hooked. So the whole key is, anytime you need to go to the Visa website, you pull up your browser and you type it in.
Yeah.
Don't take a link that comes, an unsolicited link.
Yeah.
You type it in your browser yourself, and do not go to their web page like that.
Yeah, I had a friend that had to close his eBay account because his wife opened up an email from eBay, and she entered all the information into it and found out that it was fraudulent. So they had to close their eBay account and start over from scratch. So, yeah.
Yeah, it happens. It happens often, and I think that the next generation will be much more savvier.
Yeah.
With the electronics and phones, and I think that it's evolving. The social media, the Twitter and Facebook, it's all evolving. They're figuring out what's our freedoms versus what we need to do to stay safe.
Right.
So
we'll have to wind down soon. I assume you or your deputies are always available to maybe come out to a homeowners group or a community group and share more information if they need it?
Absolutely. We will come out. It's spring. A lot of the homeowners groups do their spring meetings. We'll be happy to come out and speak on whatever topic. Lastly, you want to check your credit reports, and yearly you're entitled to free credit reports, and it's a one-stop shop. So just be aware of your surroundings, and if there's any questions, feel free to pick up the phone and call us, and we'll help figure it all out for you.
Give us that number one more time.
Our non-emergency number for dispatch is 248-858-4911. So it's just like 911, but it's 4911.
Okay.
So, okay.
Great. Thanks for coming out as always.
My pleasure.
Hope to have you back again soon.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, and thank you for watching Line of Duty. I'm Joe Johnson. We'll see you next time.